May 24, 1988, TACA Airlines Flight 110, a brand new Boeing 737-300, is cruising comfortably toward New Orleans. Captain Carlos Dardano, who miraculously flies with only one eye, and First Officer Dionisio Lopez anticipate a routine descent. But the weather radar paints a grim picture. A massive level 4 thunderstorm blocks their path to the airport. They decide to navigate through a seemingly clear gap in the severe cells, hoping for a smooth ride. Suddenly, the gap closes. The 707 is swallowed by extreme darkness. Torrential rain and massive hail relentlessly pound the fuselage. The sound is deafening. New Orleans approach. TACA 110, we are in heavy precipitation, the crew reports. The turbulence is violent, tossing the 60-ton aircraft like a toy. Inside the cockpit, the tension spikes as water ingestion disrupts the airflow into the dual turbofan engines. The pilots fight to maintain absolute control. TACA Untension, you are deviating from your assigned heading, ATC calls out. But heading is the least of their worries. The RPM gauges on both engines begin to roll back uncontrollably. The unbelievable is happening simultaneously. Both engines flame out completely. The roar of the jet engines vanishes, replaced by the terrifying ghostly silence of wind rushing past the unpowered airframe. TACA Unten is now a massive falling glider plunging through thick clouds. Houston Center, TACA under 10, we've lost both engines. Captain Dardano broadcasts urgently. The radio crackles. TACA under 10, say again? You lost both engines? Achiev responds in sheer disbelief. The stakes are instantly elevated to life or death. The pilots immediately initiate the dual engine failure checklist. They pitch the nose down to maintain critical airspeed. If they slow down too much, the wings will lose lift, and the aircraft will enter a deadly stall. They attempt a windmill restart, using the rushing air to spin the turbine blades. The auxiliary power unit is quickly fired up. We are attempting an engine restart, TACA Un-39. First Officer Lopez informs the terrified controllers. For a brief, hopeful second, the engines ignite, but the massive water ingestion is too much. Extreme exhaust gas temperatures trigger a violent compressor stall. The engines dangerously overheat, forcing the crew to intentionally shut them down. Mayday, 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 TACA 1-10, we have lost both engines permanently. We need immediate vectors to the nearest runway. The cockpit is awash in warning horns and flashing amber lights. The storm rages fiercely outside their windows. New Orleans approach scrambles. TACA 110, turn left heading 040. You are 12 miles from New Orleans Lakefront Airport, but dropping at 2,000 feet per minute, 12 miles might as well be on the moon. Breaking through the lowest cloud layer at barely 1,000 feet, the pilots finally see the ground. It is completely swamp and water. Adria have the runway in sight. We cannot make lakefront, Dardano yells. Desperation sets in. They are seconds from a catastrophic water landing in the bayou. TACA 11, prepare for ditching, Captain Dardano commands. The flight attendants shall brace instructions to the terrified passengers in the violently shaking cabin. Suddenly, First Officer Lopez spots a miracle. Look, to the right! A narrow grassy levee runs parallel to the Michoud Canal. It is extremely tight, barely wide enough for the landing gear, but it's solid ground. It's their only chance. New Orleans TACA 11, we are not going to make any runway. We are landing on a levee. Tell them to send rescue. Dardano executes a drastic, aggressive sideslip maneuver to lose altitude. The 737-T7 plummets toward the Earth. Dardano wrestles the yoke, lining up the heavy jet with the narrow strip of grass. The ground rushes up at an incredible speed. The warning system violently screams, "Terrain, pull up!" At the very last second, Dardano flares the dead aircraft. The main landing gear slams into the wet, muddy grass of the NASA Michoud Assembly Facility Levee. Mud and water spray wildly as the tires dig in. The pilots stand on the brakes. With no engines, they have absolutely no reverse thrust. The aircraft skids violently along the slick grass, dangerously close to slipping off the edge into the deep canal right beside them. Miraculously, the heavy Boeing 777 decelerates. It slides to a complete shuddering halt, mere feet from the muddy embankment. Silence returns to the cabin. The unbelievable has happened. They have landed safely without engines on a levee. New Orleans, TACA 10N is on the ground. Everyone is safe. The collective sigh of relief in the ATC tower is palpable. Emergency crews race to the isolated location, expecting a disaster but finding a totally intact airplane. All 45 people on board slide down the emergency chutes, completely unharmed. The flawless execution of an impossible dead stick landing by a one-eyed captain and his brilliant crew has just saved every single life on this flight. The physical footprint on the levee was astonishingly short. Boeing test pilots would later struggle to replicate the landing in a simulator. It stands as one of the greatest displays of pure airmanship in commercial aviation history. Investigators discovered the turbofan engines were susceptible to flameouts from massive water ingestion. The intense rain and hail literally drowned the engines. Redesigned fan blades and modified engine spinners were mandated worldwide to shed water away from the core. After a daring engine replacement directly on the levee, test pilots astonishingly flew the 707 off the grass strip. Flight 110 remains a legendary testament to pilot skill, proving that when technology fails, human instinct and training prevail.